Although everyone talks about digitalization, which I think, as many of you know, we define as software, data, and artificial intelligence, um, and everyone talks about how digitalization disrupts companies, very few people actually think about how companies get disrupted in practice. Most people treat it as some kind of amorphous force that just comes in and sweeps away companies without any opportunity for those companies to respond to the challenge. And in our research, we've actually been looking into this question. What actually happens when companies, especially large incumbent companies in industries, get disrupted due to digitalization? And what we've noticed in our research is that the key concept here is the notion of the customer need. And what happens when a company starts is initially a company is very good at identifying what we call the expressed customer need. The expressed customer need for us is a function of the real customer need, which is the actual need that the customer has, in combination with certain technology capabilities, in combination with certain cost profiles. And what you get then is I have a real customer need and I have an expressed customer need. And initially, companies are successful by focusing on the expressed customer need, the thing that customers say that they want. And what happens in many companies is that initially they focus a lot on the expressed customer need, and then over time they become better and better, and they focus more and more of their energy on product capability. How can I make the product do better and better things? A good example here is the automotive industry. I mean, the real customer need, the actual customer need that is behind everything else, is a need for mobility. People need to get from A to B. And for a long time, because of technology capability and because of cost, owning a car, so the expressed customer need, then became owning a car because that car would then offer me and satisfy my mobility needs. But of course, especially when you live in a large city, over time, the notion of owning a car is becoming increasingly much of a hassle. And on the other hand, technologies such as mobile phones and smartphones have reached a level where there is actually a novel expressed customer need that meets the real customer need better. And this is what companies like Uber and Lyft are capitalizing on. So rather than me owning a car and driving myself from A to B, at this point it is people that as a side business drive me and others around in the big city, and I don't have to worry about anything except getting into the car and getting out of the car and being built separately. So what happens here is when large companies get disrupted, how this often happens is that they miss the transition between a conventional expressed customer need and a novel expressed customer need, where because of some new technology capability, the balance between technology capability and cost and the real customer need result in a novel expressed customer need. And in the figure that I just showed, you can see that in more detail. So if you look at digitalization specifically, we can see that there are at least three factors or three points where digitalization disrupts companies. The first is that because of connectivity, data collection and analytics, and continuous deployment of software, in many cases it's a better deal to use a product as a service than to actually buy and own the product. It's much better to get something as a service. You don't have to do the initial capex. And your product will actually get better over time and continuously. The second is because of the connectivity and our ability to collect data around the usage of our products, we can shift business model from a physical product that I buy to a digital offering where I, for instance, pay for use. Or where I can even offer customers new insights based on the data that I'm collecting about them and about other users of the same system. And the third and perhaps most difficult one is that it allows me to shift from a one-dimensional business model, a business model where I sell things to my customer, to a multi-dimensional business model where I still sell things to my customer, but the data that I get back, for instance, I mean, this often it's around aggregated data. I can use that data with another class of ecosystem partners that are interested in that data and are willing to pay me for it. So I can monetize the data that I could get from my original users. And if I can monetize the data I get from my original users, what happens is I can then start to subsidize the original users and offer the product or better quality products at the same price, or offer the same product at a lower price, because I'm monetizing through another part of my ecosystem. And when I do that, I often gain market share because I'm more competitive. And when I gain market share, my data becomes more valuable because it covers a larger part of the market, which then results in my data monetization becoming more valuable as well. And this is how we often see in the software as a service world that companies end up in a winner-takes-all situation, where basically there's one player that has a vast majority of the market because of the economies of scale that often happen in these situations. So our research shows that companies get disrupted by digitalization when the leadership has focused too much on product capabilities and has missed the fact that the original expressed customer need, which is the real customer need plus technology plus the cost of that technology, has been replaced by a novel expressed customer need. And when that happens and you're not there early enough, you very easily get disrupted. Because you're basically serving a constantly shrinking base of customers, whereas your new entrants or more agile incumbents are basically stealing your market share in the new market or the new ecosystem that is now developing. So as a solution to this, the main factor that is critically important for companies is that you focus on having an extremely customer-oriented culture, where it's not about the product, but it is about the customer need and how you meet that customer need best.